Committee, Town of Rowley, meeting for March 27th. It's 7:20 PM. Call the meeting to order. And the first item is to approve the minutes of March 6th.
I'll make a motion that we approve them. I read the whole thing. That looks fine. I didn't see any typos or any errors. I
Okay,
don't know about
I'll
anybody
second it.
else.
Paul, Sharon. Any comments other than the ones that I'm going to give? Okay.
You got some.
On page 2, under debt, about two-thirds of the way down, the second sentence, Summit stated that the town borrowed of a portion of the money. Just strike out of.
Oh, okay.
And then under library, the reference to the municipal appropriation requirement, those should probably be capitalized. Other than that, everything is fine.
Where is that, Larry?
Under library,
Number 6.
Okay, 6. Okay.
the reference, she reviewed the municipal appropriation requirement, and so on. Just capitalize those. So you want to modify your motion to include the
Yes.
2 corrections?
To make, 2 changes.
Okay.
That's fine.
My second.
Your second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next thing on the list is the cemetery budget. And I think last week the only problem was the fiscal 19 was not filled out, the request. So it's now filled out, level funded. And we have a cemetery commissioner here to explain any questions.
And that 24.15 hourly rate is the same on the highway, right? 'Cause okay.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the cemetery budget? I need it from a living person.
I will. I am.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Peter, Paul.
I have a quick question, Bob. If someone needs to bury someone, who do you call? If you're not going through a local funeral home?
Most of them will go through it generally.
Yeah, but I'm saying like a Haverhill Funeral Home or something, do they know who to call?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a person that does the
Well, I know, they do a nice job too.
and they get paid through the funeral home.
Yeah.
They don't pay the town, they pay the funeral home, which then gives us some money back after that.
So they're taking the calls as well?
Yeah.
But if you're not going through a funeral home, who do you call?
Well, at this point, generally it's me,
Okay.
for some reason.
I was just curious.
I mean, that's what the stipend was for, I think, at one point, which, was originally 2,000, it's now 500. So, I mean, is that something we want to keep in there, or?
I think so, for another year to
Okay.
get it straightened out.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of accepting the cemetery budget signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, next is the harbor master budget.
thought his explanation was good.
On the assistant wages for fiscal year 18, they have 5,307, and then for 19, they've got 3,427.
Because they put 2,000 into the deputy. He didn't change the budget at all, he just changed how
Right.
it's being allocated.
But shouldn't the lines after that, it says it's a 2.25% increase, but when you're going across, that is not a 2.25% increase.
Well, it is if you put the two together.
Yeah, but there should be an asterisk or something that explains that with a note, because anybody looking at that would, you're reading across and it looks like it's roughly a third decrease, and it says it's a 2.25% increase with a $120 increase. And so the math isn't correct there.
Right, the
So there
percentages
should be
in the
an-
math
Yeah,
aren't
There
correct.
should be a note explaining that,
Well, you can put it in brackets or something.
or something, but
Like that.
as it is now, it's saying there's a $120 increase, and it looks like it's a
Yeah, if you put it in brackets.
$1,900 to $2,000 decrease.
So are they reducing any assistant wages, because they reduced it, are they
I
change,
believe,
because it says on the second page of Form 1 there, Assistant Harbor Master 4, is there 4 individuals that help out the harbor master? So now that you're reducing the wages, are you reducing?
one of the assistants is going to be the deputy.
Okay, I didn't see that written anywhere.
I know that from somebody told me that.
Right.
Well, it would be nice if we had that here.
Yeah, somebody
That's
told me
good.
that.
Okay, any other questions or discussion on the harbor master? Can I have a motion to approve the harbor master budget?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Sharon,
Is that with an explanation added, or a note to be added explaining that line?
Yes.
yeah, or just crossing it out.
Okay.
Okay, can I have a second? Was yours a conditional second?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Whittier. And those are the best estimates that we have right now, so.
And the business manager at the school said the school committee hadn't voted. Because of a couple of the snowstorms, they had to reschedule, but she they're pretty good numbers.
Now, that's showing a average 15.3% increase over last year. Did they take several more students, or how many students?
It's not settled yet.
It's
They
not.
won't know till April. But that's what they're advising me, because they only have a limited amount of slots they're
Okay.
gonna take,
And that's 16 students, those are 16 Raleigh students?
have applied.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's, they're all of them.
Yeah.
So we were paying, it says current enrollment is 21 students. So in fiscal year 18, the total was 323,000 and change. And with 16 students applying for the current year, it says, and the decision won't be made until April 1st. With only 16 in, it's going to go up $50,000 more
there's
for
probably-
5 students less than
Yeah, but
last
they
year.
don't-
Probably some
They don't know
students
the
still left
numbers.
over out of the
No,
21.
no, out of
They're
the
not all
21, they
graduating.
haven't all graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in
They don't
school.
know.
So last year, they said it was 19 students. So
Mm-hmm.
this school year, they have the 21. Applications are being processed. Decisions won't be until April. So they are setting, it's the same for all the towns right now. It's still,
In flux.
yeah,
Okay.
they have to make a change. We usually have to do it at a special town meeting. You know, whether it's this one or the Essex Agricultural Technical School.
Okay, any other discussion?
For 21.
I'll make a motion that we approve this budget contingent on the fact that this is the final figure. If it's not, we'll come back and
That's-
relook at it.
Okay, with conditional acceptance. Have a second?
I
Peter?
second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. That takes care of all the budgets. Now, let's see what we can do for warrants. Let's look at the special town warrant first. Okay, what we're going to do is if there are any real questions that can't be answered, we just won't make any recommendation. We'll just skip that article and cover it next week. But right now, if there's, if it's agreeable with everyone and it's understandable, then we'll just make a recommendation and kind of get that out of the way. So the first article was Article 3. And that's just moving 5,000 from unemployment to the selectmen's expense.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Article 3, that we recommend, I should say.
I'll second.
Okay. Sharon and Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Article 4, 4,868 from free cash to cover the MVP AP pictometry program. And that's just a continuation of the aerial photography.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Dennis, Paul, any other discussion or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Article 5, 3,000 from free cash.
That was for the, the door.
For the
Wish you did mention
right
that.
door opener,
This is a handicap?
yes.
I'll make a motion that we
They can't come out of the revolving account or anything, right? It's just
I don't
taking,
think she's got enough, even if she did, and she uses that copy paper, because they don't charge for the copying, they just take donations. I think her revolving fund doesn't have enough for that. Which is a balance of $1,161.
that's all she has right now.
And it tends to be about that.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 5.
Okay, I have a motion.
That's important to have the handicap door.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next one, Article 6, 3,800 from free cash. Sending a police officer to the police academy for training.
I'll make a motion that we recommend that.
Okay, we have a recommendation by Paul. You have a second?
I'll second.
Sharon, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, 5-0 pass.
Just have a quick question. If we vote this money, and then we end up cutting things, he would be the first one to go.
And the police officer, well,
Not necessarily, because you still need the training.
No, not if he gets,
and that we don't need to spend this money. I know that the budget included the new sergeant,
Yeah.
the extra sergeant.
yeah. Just
Yeah,
all the pros and cons of what's gonna happen.
yeah, it will have a domino effect, I
Yeah.
guess.
That would affect a number of these articles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
but I'm saying these are the special
Yeah.
town meeting articles, so,
yeah, because we didn't have a special town meeting in the fall or
Right.
anything, so
okay, I just
some
curious.
housekeeping things
Yeah.
that we've been putting off.
So what happens if the budget cuts into the articles, so they have to get revoted again? How does that work?
Well, I think that if we're cutting the FY19 budget, we're not gonna need to spend some of this money in some of these.
Yeah. So does that mean these articles have to get revoted again from,
Yeah, we would just, repurpose them at another town meeting.
But the cuts would be done by the selectmen,
We'd have to
Yeah.
come up with a balanced budget.
right, in conjunction with the departments, as far as,
Exactly. Have another
the
town meeting.
selectmen would
It's another town
meet,
meeting.
meet with the
We-
police chief and decide, we'll say maybe they've decided that he has to cut $25,000 from his budget. Now is he gonna,
He decides
he
where
kind of
he's going to
decides,
cut it.
right.
So if we have a second town meeting, can we take any particular article that we would be revisiting and unappropriated, so that we could, rather than have it reapportioned in the budget, in other words, the money's there, but we want to use this money to kind
Yeah,
of,
we could do that too.
so we could undo Article 6 if we needed to.
Yeah.
Okay. I would think we'd probably want to look at that too, rather than have that money just in an account and it's not
Yeah,
going to
that's
get
what I
used,
was thinking about, it.
Because we're going to be looking for every nickel and dime, probably, I would think.
Yeah.
These things are coming out of,
Okay, moving along, Article 7, transfer $1,936 from free cash to the Emergency 9/11 Grant Fund due to shortfalls. Any questions, concerns on that? Have a motion to recommend?
I'll make
So
the
if
motion.
the, I'm sorry, if the fire department, when he came in, he said he thought he'd be in good shape. So if there's any money left over in that account, can that be used to fund this as opposed to taking out of free cash, or, I mean, we won't know what that will be.
This is for the police chief.
You're talking about this 911 grant?
Yeah, the 18,
Well, I think this is something that we have to, some housekeeping stuff we have to do. This Article 7 we're talking
all
about.
right, so we can't wait for,
It's tied to a state
the-
grant, and it's,
Yeah,
no, it's less than $2,000.
you don't want to lose the grant.
yeah, no, I understand that, it's just a question of funding source. Okay, we're taking all this out of free cash,
Yeah, but you
Right.
wouldn't know if any
Yeah,
budget
till
has
the end of the
anything
year.
left over till
July.
July 15th.
Yep.
And this needs to be paid now.
Okay, have a motion to recommend, do I have a second?
I'll second.
No, you can't, you just made the motion.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, well,
No.
No, sure.
I get-
I made the motion? Oh, okay. I've lost
You
track.
you made the motion and then
Okay.
we're,
Okay.
I'll second it.
okay.
Yeah, I can't second and make it at the same time.
You've got a lot of power, but
No, I can't do that.
not that good. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passes. Unanimous. Article 8. And 19,000 from police department wages. 55,000 collective bargaining reserve.
I'll make the motion that we accept Article 8.
Okay. And Dennis. You have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Was that a silent aye, Peter?
No, I don't know, I'm just wondering how how they had this much money in reserves anyway, I'm just looking at, but, because they're moving things around. so
We put that
obviously-
money aside last year because they were still bargaining. And we knew we were going to have to come up with a salary increase.
Okay.
Okay, Article 9, transfer 50,000 from free cash. Use the tree warden for tree cutting, pruning, maintenance.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
A lot of preventive maintenance. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Article 10, transfer $4,445 from free cash to cover the cost of testing the landfill. You gotta do that every year. You know, a motion to approve this article, to recommend
make a
this
motion.
article? Okay. Paul, Dennis, you want a second?
Yep.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Do we ever have to, can we ever stop testing? I don't think so. Landfill's been gone for so long.
Right. Okay, Article 11. $10,467 for a new security system.
What we're doing in the next several articles is trying to fund the capital improvement plan through repurposing balances of other projects and articles. So that's why you kind of see these funny numbers.
From 2014.
Yeah, $6,637, $3,380.62. So we had items that we worked on in the capital plan that were funded through borrowing. And, so we have balances, and the bond attorney reviewed everything and has approved all these articles and actually wrote them. So that's what we're trying to do here, is to utilize what we have already available to do some of these projects. So they're split over a couple of different articles. The security system is in 11, and then it shows up again in 12.
So for example, on the repairing the town hall handicap ramp, it shows that none of that money was used.
Yeah, because...
Is that going to be an issue, though? Was the ramp ever fixed?
No, there wasn't ever enough money, and so it was tied into the handicap door project too. So we did the door, we didn't have enough for the ramp, and the handicap ramp's eligible for CPA funds, which aren't part of the borrowing. So
Okay.
that was, when I was here last week, you were here when I made the
Yes.
application for the town hall ramp out of the CPA account.
Yep, okay.
So that's further on in the agenda.
Okay.
So it was just easier to use this than for the town hall security system and the annex security system.
And then on the HVAC system for the police,
They don't need it.
that was from 4 years ago. They never used it, and with the
Yeah.
new station going up,
They're gonna have a new
that money is
system.
free. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion.
Okay, have a motion to
Recommend
recommend Article 11.
There were 8 police HVAC articles, and the first one is the one here. That's, the original amount is 8,000, but you're gonna see in the next ones, police
Oh,
HVAC
yeah.
for 22,000. That was a separate,
Okay,
and it's confusing, and I haven't had a chance to write the explanatory notes yet, so.
okay.
Okay, can I have a second for Article 11 recommendation?
I'll second.
All right, Sharon. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, Article 12,
So then Article 12, then, if that's also going for the security system, it's like you're collecting from different
That's exactly what we're
leftover.
doing. Yeah.
Okay. So how much is the total amount
So I
for
have it on
town
my
hall?
spreadsheet, so you add in the 10, 4, 6, 7, and the 4, 5, 2, 3, and you know what,
Oh, 15,000.
yeah.
Right.
For the- For the security, okay,
So much less.
makes sense.
Okay, can I have a motion to recommend Article 12?
Make a motion that we to recommend it.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Article 13, 10,000 to repair and repave the town launch ramp. And again, this is repurposing left unexpended funds. You have a motion to recommend
This is the
article.
landing, right?
The harbor master put in his
Right.
request.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, Church Sunday, we have a new minister, and she's not familiar with the town yet, and we're talking about sunrise service and whether it could be at the minister's woodlot or not. She said, if not, it will be at the Raleigh Pier. And everybody's looking around like,
Not quite.
not quite.
Not unless one washed up during the last storm.
No, it'll be both out there.
Okay, can I have a motion to recommend Article 13?
I'll make that motion.
All right, Sharon. A second.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Article 14, $3,967, pay the cost of replacing the carpet in here. Yeah, it looks good to me.
Put it in the historical society,
Yeah.
from what I understand. It's pretty old.
It's not that old. Wasn't here when it was a library. I'll make the motion.
Okay, have a motion to recommend Article 14. You have a second? Somebody,
Why don't they just rip the carpet out and have, is there hardwood floor into here?
I
Is
don't think
carpeting
so.
better?
The selectmen preferred the carpeting to keep the noise down.
yeah, it might have like an echo chamber effect if there's no sound absorbing
Okay.
down here. Be like upstairs.
What kind of carpet are they going to put in? It seems like, is it just for this room, or is this going to continue
It's gonna go
through?
to the back.
It seems like a lot, $4,000 just about.
Oh, no, that's the, actually, there's still another piece of that. That's not the whole price, that's just part of it,
It's more.
yeah.
Oh. What kind of carpet is it?
Amy was working on that, it's like solid and industrial, like for an office,
Commercial grade?
something like
carpet?
that, yeah.
Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second?
How much does the total carpet cost?
Pardon me?
How much is the total of the carpet?
Yeah, I have to get my, I wasn't thinking we'd be voting on these right now.
If it's 15,000, you don't want to say yay, and then, no.
Doesn't look that bad.
You know, there are areas where it's worn through, and I don't know how.
Just right at the door, it looks a little wrinkled, but the rest of
Bad.
it looks pretty good.
I know, going back towards
Okay,
Debbie's,
It's not as good.
right.
And you have to remember, this is dusty money, as Jack Demento would call it.
Hmm. You know, why don't we hold on to that and go on to Article 15? We'll just come back to it.
Okay.
$8,500 to pay the cost of repairing, and replacing garage doorless panels at the Highway Department.
Make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's go on to 16. Appropriate $2,723, purchasing a trailer for the Harbor Masters Boston Whaler patrol boat. Again, unexpended reappropriation money. You have a motion to recommend?
I'm just curious, he doesn't have a trailer for it
Yeah.
now?
I guess not.
Can we pass on that one till we?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll pass on that till next week. All right, we'll table.
Where would that be stored in the off-season? Trailer like that on his
Maybe
personal
the ramp.
property, or do we have it room? If we purchase the trailer,
I don't know.
like, let's say in the winter months, and
Yeah, I
stuff,
mean,
where
you can't
does it
store
get
that
stored?
outside, can you?
I don't think, I think you'd want to have it in a
Well-
covered area.
Yeah, just a
Garage of
wire.
sorts.
Yeah. I don't know, it must be, I'm assuming it must be.
Just
a house.
asking, yeah, where, if they have a place for it,
I believe the
'cause-
harbor master has a barn that he stores his stuff.
that he could put
So
it
the boat would
in.
go there too, I imagine, right? Yeah. so
Oh,
that-
okay.
So we just don't know why we're putting a new trailer, is the old one too old, or?
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's why I haven't written the explanatory notes, I need to go back to the funding request. I just can't remember off the.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe it
So we're
might be a
gonna pass on that.
replacement.
Right.
but I'm
Yeah,
not-
yeah, that's what.
I have to get, I can look it up if you want right now.
No, we can do
no,
it next week.
no. We can wait.
Just
Yeah, it
we'll
doesn't
wait.
say anything about replacement though,
So,
Debbie, it just says
Paul-
to purchase a trailer.
Yeah,
Makes you think he doesn't have a trailer,
That it-
but I'm
yeah.
sure he
Right.
does.
he does, and I want to say it's either, I think it's a replacement, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I just, I haven't written these up, the notes yet.
So I have Paul, I have a question for you. I mean, Dennis, the utility tractor for the highway that decided they didn't need one,
What article?
Article 16.
No, it's just the
16?
unexpended balance.
So how
Right.
much was?
Oh,
so they over budgeted for that, then.
Well, you have to go out to bid, and you don't know what the bids are gonna be.
Yeah,
So I'm just, well, that seems like
Yeah, they got a,
off by a
Yeah, they got a-
lot, but.
Well, it's not, it cost them 21,000.
yeah. you
Out of
expended this
23.
one 1,900. right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to have a figure to work with so you can go out for bids.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll do like the library and have to come back and reappropriate money for the doors. Okay, can we, do you have an answer yet, Debbie?
Yeah,
On
so,
14? All right, let's go back to
it's-
14.
Just over 9,000,
9,000.
combined, it's 9,000. So that's ripping up, it's also moving. We have, we called for a quote for Wakefield movers, because all the furniture has to
has
be
to be emptied
removed.
out.
So there's
So this is
huge
labor.
desks and file
Yeah,
cabinets.
there's,
So it's not just the carpet, it's the moving company and removing this and then.
yeah. Now, is it just this
Yeah.
office, the others have already been done?
The floors have been done in all the other offices.
But I would like the
Yeah.
town clerk and the treasurer
These offices over here in the hallway,
have been done.
yeah,
Okay.
and so you do have to move
Yeah,
lots of heavy furniture out the door
Yeah.
to do this. That's included in
that's a
the
good
cost.
part of the
Okay,
cost.
Yeah, that's a big part,
Yeah.
the labor, yeah. Okay.
And it goes back like to my office and.
Yeah.
a
I'll make
lot
a
of-
motion
lot
that
of
we
folks.
recommend 14.
You already did, I think.
I think so, but I'm
Right.
doing it again
Okay.
because we,
Okay.
tabled it for a few minutes.
I'll second it then.
Second by Paul. Any discussion other than that the old carpet could be used as a movie prop from Chappaquiddick, the movie? Sell it on eBay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Yes?
Sure. Cut it up in strips, put it on eBay.
Swatches of
Used in the
carpet.
movie.
Okay,
So
Article
16 is still...
16
is on
is
table.
is tabled.
Okay.
We can-
15 too, right?
No,
15, yes. No, 15,
no,
no.
15
15
Be okay.
recommended.
Dennis, Sharon,
16.
and
Okay, yeah.
unanimous 5-0. Article 17, 156,500 from free cash for 87,500 technology upgrades, 32,600 facilities upgrade, new hardware for the town hall, handicap door, painting the town hall cupola, and 36,400 trailer for the harbor master patrol boat, line painter for the highway department.
Make a motion that we recommend.
Okay, have a motion.
I'll second it. Bob, while you're here, I had, I'm a liaison for the Community Preservation Group, and I volunteered to take some pictures of the projects that they financed, and I gave them to them, and I noticed when I took pictures of the town hall cupola from the street side, where the right-hand column meets with the roof, there's a piece of trim that's missing there. And I think that if you look at the left side, you'd see it. It's just a strip, but I think when you have like a nor'easter and stuff, strong winds, they spent a lot of money just restoring that inside of that not too long ago. And I mentioned it to Dave Peterson the other day too, but I think they should put a strip up on a kick, because any wind-driven rain will eventually deteriorate that.
Now, you need to keep an eye on that stuff a lot of times.
And I just noticed, like I said, I took the picture and then I zoomed in and I says, oh, there's a piece of wood there missing. So, a strip.
See, back in about 55, the town the selectmen of the town of Raleigh itself did not own this building.
Oh, okay. Who did?
Mr. Smith. It's no longer here.
Out in the cemetery.
No, he's right
No,
there.
on the picture.
Picture.
That was part of his agreement. So they did finally talk him into it. And they put the aluminum siding on. And that was one of the first times that aluminum siding had been done in Raleigh. If you look at it, it's about 5 or 6 inch siding, which you don't see anymore these days.
Yeah.
And this end over here, if you look up at the top, you'll see where the piece came off because of the windstorm that happened.
Yeah.
You almost climb out the window to get it off the side of the building. So they keep an eye on that stuff because it will come off.
Yeah. When then did they put the siding, aluminum siding on? Do you know roughly what time period?
It was in pretty close to the 50s.
50s?
Yeah,
Okay.
50s, early 50s.
But they wouldn't allow that now with community
Oh, no.
preservation.
It's a historical building.
They wouldn't allow that now, so. Is there any talk of them replacing that then to, what?
It's historical, it's been here that long.
Right, yes.
Yep.
There's a lot of it that's
Hmm.
stuff that was not.
Paul Revere Siding Company installed it. Okay, any other discussion?
No?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, Article 17 is recommended. Article 18, transfer $653,000 from the water department free cash to their stabilization fund.
Nice.
questions, discussions, or someone want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, have a motion.
I've got a question. Why does this one take a two-thirds vote? What constitutes
Stabilization fund.
anything for a stabilization fund, or is it because of the sum of money involved?
No,
It's a
No, it's
stabilization.
just- Right. Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Article 19, 90,000 from Article 24, the special town meeting, dehumidification to fund the cleaning of well 3 and well 5.
I'll make that motion. That's very important to keep up.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Article 20, appropriate 22,000 from Article 24 for the dehumidification to Article 6 to be used for the purpose of purchasing and installing a HVAC system at 401 Central. That's the water offices.
It seems kind of high.
The problem there is that they have 1, 2, 3, I think 4 of the large plate glass windows, which are not energy efficient at all. And
And look at the explanatory note. The original appropriation of 18,000 was found to be not sufficient, so they had money appropriated before, but it wasn't enough.
right, and they've gone out for bids and they're coming in higher. So can I have a motion to recommend Article 20?
I'll recommend.
And if a motion to recommend, do I have a second? Going once, going twice. Sharon? Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Article 21, 20,000 from dehumidification. For the insulation of the pipes.
I'll make a recommendation.
Okay.
Approve that.
I'll second.
All right. And Dennis, any discussion? I think it was rather straightforward. Last week they covered it very well.
Yeah, they explained that thoroughly.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Article 22. Cable access, support the cable television access and programming, renewal of licenses.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion.
I'll second that.
Paul will second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're still on the air, so. Let's go. I think Article 23 we might have to look at. I don't know what you mean by recommendations by category.
So, in last year's annual town meeting article, you have an annual CPA appropriation, and they're based on a 20% estimate. We don't know what the state's actually going to reimburse us for. So now we're trying to update that article from last year because they were figuring a 20% match, but it was actually 29.73, so we got a little bit more money. So this article takes that extra and puts it in the right pockets of these categories that you have to have in the CPA account.
I'll make the recommendation, the motion.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Article 24, 9,700 from the community preservation. Build a boardwalk on the Pingree Farm Conservation Area.
I'll make a motion.
All right, motion to recommend. Dennis.
And I'll second that.
Okay, Paul.
They modified
Second.
that project. I think it was going to be a lot more expensive before, but now it's going to be for pedestrians, I guess hikers. But if I recall, they're not going to. It's not going to be allowed for horses.
Yeah, they weren't gonna
To
do the
cross.
full
Right.
bridge.
Originally, they wanted it so that like people
Bridge, yeah.
walking their
A
horses,
walking
riding the
bridge.
horses, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's not going to be allowed.
Any other discussion, comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Article 25, 100,000 from community preservation.
I'll make the motion. This is just redoing the
Redoing,
old.
yeah.
I have the plans here if you want to look at them. The new one.
Okay, that's for the parking spaces and
Yeah, they're gonna
other
put
things.
parking spaces.
Uh,
yeah.
Jim and Joe Perry's done a lot of work in making sure that there's a modest parking lot and
Yeah.
a trail. So if you want to go for a walk, in the beautiful open space they're preserving, you can do that and then get right into the forest.
Yeah.
Willowdale Forest.
Yeah, they're going to
Okay.
have parking for 4 cars.
Yes,
Right.
They said,
they've been
yeah.
working hard on making sure that happens.
Did somebody make a motion?
Yes,
I'll
Sharon.
second that.
Paul, any other discussion on it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Article 26, transfer 18,377 from community preservation
For the town hall windows, yeah.
to complete town hall window project.
I'll make a motion. Approve that.
Okay,
I'll second.
Yeah, this is the last of the windows, I think, right here.
1,
Right?
2, 3, 4,
4, 5, yeah.
okay, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Article 27,
That dollar amount is actually 229700 instead of 668.
Say that again, please, Deb.
The amount is 229,700, not
Oh, okay.
Fire
668.
department's going out.
The CPA committee rounded that up, but I forgot when I typed this.
okay, this is for the annex elevator project.
Now, the elevator project, there's no need for that now? I
Well,
thought
we're not sure.
They were going to get the Didax building?
If we get the Didax building, yes, but that's complicated because the owners of the Didax building also own an abutting parcel of property that they are seeking to develop, but they couldn't develop it under their zoning permit because their grandfather non-conforming
Oh.
way out in the outlying district.
So no, it's not definite if we're going to get that building?
No, it's not so much that, if they relinquish their business use on part of that land, then they can develop it. So
Okay.
that would be part of it, and they're also looking to relocate Ann Rowley to a larger facility. They just haven't been able to find someplace. But, so we're not really sure. They're saying they're interested, but it's gonna take some time.
Okay.
In the meantime, because the town hall annex is considered, it's a public building, you have to have a full-blown elevator in there, and according to the Architectural Access Board regulations, the square footage triggers a full overhaul of upgrades. So you have to kind of think of it as a 1904 building where door thresholds, I mean, you're talking minutia, every little thing.
New doorknobs,
Doorknobs, thresholds,
bathrooms.
everything, the whole bathroom has to be done to a full upgrade. So phase one, when we went back to the architect, when we found out it cost so much money, we said, could you look at phasing this in? And then we were still had the opportunity for the Didex going. So at this point, if the Didex project goes forward, the selectmen want to make that first floor a full-blown senior center
senior citizen.
with a large enough room that some of the town boards could still meet in there as well. Activities are held during the day, but it would be dedicated to the Council on Aging with some opportunity for night meetings, and then just get that handicap upgrade done to modernize it.
But this is not to put in an elevator.
No, this
At all.
That would be the
That's
second
canceled.
phase if the Didex
If
deal
the
doesn't go
Didex,
through.
yeah, because I asked, when I went to the community preservation meeting last week,
Yes.
Dave Peterson was there, yeah.
Yeah.
And they talked about renovating just the first floor for now
Yeah.
for the Council on Aging. And I asked him, I says, like, where would the elevator go? Because it's not going to be on the outside.
Yeah.
And I says, are they going to spend the money to restore, let's say, that corner of the building and then have to tear it all out?
Yeah.
If they have to put in an elevator. And apparently, he says it wouldn't affect that much of an area.
It'd be like, it would be part of where the meeting room is right now, because the idea was that would have reconfigure the meeting space and have another one upstairs, another meeting room upstairs,
Yeah.
if we had the elevator.
And they just won't use the second floor for now, is my
That's right.
understanding.
It's, it would stay status quo.
Yeah.
But we're hopeful that things are gonna work out with Didex. I mean, they're looking to
Yeah.
donate it to the town, it's just they need to find another location. The problem is they've grown too much.
Yeah.
But they need a larger facility, they wanna stay in Raleigh, and they're also, looking at that adjacent parcel.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm kind of confused now. You said, so are they gonna be using any of that money for an elevator or not now?
Well, the phase one from the architect was the full renovation
Yeah.
pursuant to the Architectural Access Board upgrade. We'd have to do it anyway. You can't avoid doing the full upgrade for everything, from door thresholds to everything has to be
Bathrooms,
reconfigured.
Handicap and all that, so that's what that
So
money
is
is
that,
for.
but is it
first
gonna be
floor.
spent now, or is it on hold for the Skyjack right now?
Well, phase two would be on hold. But by the time, if we get the funding and then to redesign these construction plans, go out to bid and get that first floor going, I mean, that's a pretty big project. Figuring out how we're gonna do that while we have the senior center running. So by the time that happens, we'll know whether or not
Yeah,
there's a future, but the CPA fund right now would be very stressed to try to do this project.
Yeah.
Even in phase two, by the time we get to that.
You're changing my old school, as I'm not going to recognize it.
The exterior will stay the same.
That's about it.
Do you know that Mark went to school there, too?
Oh, we did?
Yeah, at one point, before they were building an addition on Pine Grove, they put fourth grade over in Center School.
I'll make a motion to recommend Article 27.
Okay, have a motion to recommend. We have a second.
Aye.
Peter, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Appropriate,
go,
Article
handicap.
28.
That's this
Here
one
it
here.
is.
That's a lot of
And
money.
that's with the
for-
CPC, so I was aware that I make a
ramp.
motion to recommend
Yeah,
that.
it's a long ramp.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
That seems like a lot of money, 254,000 for a van.
It's a huge ramp.
Well, he's almost built a house, but, or a
Not
big
really.
job. Well,
Might be- yeah.
just, I don't know, I mean, prices, you can build a deck for about 10 or 15,000. Oh, it seems high to me, though.
Well, that's the cost.
Are they ripping out the old one?
This would be, this is including the architect fee, so it would be,
Demolition.
construction costs, general, contractor's general conditions, bonds, insurance, escalation, design contingency, construction contingency, constructing the whole thing, including the engineer plans, the design plans and everything. So it's 54,000 is the estimate we got from the architect
Is the,
for the whole.
yeah, my tongue's tied. Is the design similar to what we have now, or is it going to be different?
It's gonna be similar, but I think, maybe the incline's gonna change somewhat on
Yeah, I was
that.
going to say, they've changed the rules on the incline. Since
And
that
the
was put in.
materials.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Because
materials
it's wood
changed?
right now.
And what kind of material they're gonna use the,
They told me what, I forget what it is, but it's something that, so your hands wouldn't get splinters.
Precious.
Yeah,
That
composite.
material.
composite stuff there, yeah.
It'd be
Yeah.
nice if they did it in white, it would complement the building, it looks like an eyesore.
Yeah, we usually have a senior tax credit project to paint this, and it's been painted since it's been built many times.
Yeah.
But the wood is,
It wears out.
to feel,
There are a lot of composite materials now, they cost a little more, but then they last so much longer.
yeah, it's
You know, we-
gonna be different material than it is
Yeah.
now. But I know that the railings right now, you can go out and feel it, we paint it to make sure you don't hurt your hands on it.
Yeah.
If you have to use it.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just asking, do they always need an architect for something like that? Because, I mean, if I was having a deck put on the back of my house, a replacement, I wouldn't say, okay, I gotta have an architect come out and I mean, the architect cost alone must be about at least $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for.
Yeah, but on a project like that, you need an engineer or an architect to design it so that it's in control.
Yeah,
so that
you've got to-
contractor knows exactly, what type of material, how to put it, the
And also,
foundation.
you have to protect yourself from liability
Yeah,
rather
city or town
than,
is never
you
gonna
know,
just.
an architect,
Well, somebody
has
put it up.
the certifications and everything. If you just have a contractor come in and put something in, he wouldn't necessarily be liable, but the town would be, so.
But is true that it's basically when you have work done, you need to hire a contractor for, like a public facility like this building and stuff? you
Well,
know?
because of REAP has to follow the Architectural Access Board regulations, and it's a public building.
And it's a structure.
It's more than, it's more than maybe having, a carpenter come in and doing some repairs on something. Like,
Yeah, it's not like a repair to the,
Yeah.
cupola.
We've had, like, the annex REAP has been repaired several times
Right.
by an architect. That's why we need to replace it. This, to design this, the building inspector's gonna want,
Yep.
it kinda calls it some, like, controlled construction or something, like an architect stamps it. And it's it's not quite $10,000 for all the architectural services, which will include the construction documents, the bidding phase, and the construction administration, because we won't have a clerk of the works, but at least we'll have the architect making sure everything's being constructed with the materials that are in the specifications and built in accordance with the specifications, because you're dealing with these inclines and spaces and between things.
Another thing, Peter, is we have to go with prevailing wage, which sometimes is more expensive than just getting a regular carpenter.
Every project,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
every single thing.
Yeah.
If you're involved in construction, and
yeah.
One of the issues that's out there right now is the framework underneath the flooring, which is the
Support.
supports and
Yeah.
the metal pieces that they use to hold the beams up. And then in the wintertime, they spread salt all over that, so that somebody won't slip and fall off.
Yeah.
It's actually rotting out all of the metal that's
Yeah.
under there.
Right.
That's it, yeah.
And the timbers are starting to fall off, and it's just,
Yeah.
the way
Actually,
to do it would be probably even more expensive, would be put a nice aluminum ramp in.
Yeah. My other question is there a quick time frame for the actual construction? Because it's going to make us not handicap accessible.
Yeah, so we would have to factor that into our
Yeah.
bidding schedule, so we would probably have to do something, and maybe, and we haven't discussed this, but
Yeah.
my idea would be maybe we close the town hall starting at noon time on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday type situation, because we can't operate if we don't have this.
But, yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
I guess I'm so probably, could this possibly cost more if they have underpinnings, they have to replace them and stuff too? It could be more than,
Well, it's not worth replacing them at this point.
They're just
If
going
you're gonna
to,
do something, you need to put the whole thing in. You go down to the landing, and I don't know if they've got it in yet, but it will be pretty solid. Look at the ramp that they use to go from the parking lot down into the river. Really, they had them made for the, it's Harbor Master got them, had them made, so that they could do that. They really come out nice, and they last a long time.
When was that first built, Bob? Any idea?
Goes back into the 30s, and WN, whatever.
Oh, that far back, huh?
That 1930s?
Actually, you're talking
No.
about the Harbor Master, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Done, okay.
Oh, I'm talking
This
about
ramp.
the,
This ramp right here, I know that Dave Peterson said that he did this,
That's
and I think it
only
was
like
in the
3
early
years.
90s. Early 90s.
90s. So it'd be like
He had some
25
volunteers.
25 plus years old.
Does that ring any bells, Bob?
Oh, yeah, no, that's exactly what they did.
And
Yeah.
it was some volunteers that built it?
Yeah, there was some people just came and decided they could put it together, and they did. And it didn't come out too bad at the beginning, but because of the materials they used, it just didn't last.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah,
To recommend Article 28.
okay, Paul made the motion. Can you
Oh,
second that?
Yep, sure.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Recommended, Article 29.
that doesn't require a recommendation? I don't think. It doesn't involve money, right?
It's any money, you just transfer it.
No, this is just the parcel transfer. Okay, so Article 29 is no Finance Committee recommendation.
The next one is zoning, so that doesn't take a recommendation either.
Article 30. And Article 31 is also zoning. So that doesn't apply. Article 32, local sales tax on marijuana products.
I think that's okay to recommend. Involves money. Getting us money.
And this is, Article 32 is just collecting a 3% sales tax on marijuana sales. Can I
Now,
have-
does the state would the state tax that too? Would they tax it, like, let's say, like they do, like tobacco, or would it be the general sales tax?
It's a type of sales tax.
So the town, in addition, would be able to tax.
Right.
That's the
That's a hotel
first,
tax, yeah.
first item that the town would be able to put a sales tax on. Is that correct? For an
Well-
item, not like a hot hotel room, but for an item.
Well,
Now, does
there's a
that-
meals tax.
Well, this is-
That's yeah, that's true.
Same thing,
That's
right.
true.
This is a local option, so, and I'm still, we don't have any facility that's licensed right now, but this is just coming out right now, but there are two companies, two marijuana
Dispensary companies?
retailers that are looking to establish their businesses in town, and right now, the selectmen are working on some host agreements, so I've been working with the attorneys that are representing those businesses and the town's attorney on that. This was an article that Town Council Tom Mullen suggested we put in, and it is a local option, so it allows the town to set this sales tax in addition to what I believe the state is gonna be charging anyway.
Where'd they get the number 3%?
That, I'm actually getting some clarification in this evening before the meeting. I went back to Tom Mullen on that because I thought it was 2% under the statute. So I'm seeking some clarification on that.
So we can't
So
change that number then,
we'll
right?
postpone that one.
Well, you're voting on a draft that still is being worked on. If
Yeah.
anything substantial changes in this, I'll bring it back next week.
But it's not like we can make it to 6 or 7%?
No.
No, there's a
I thought it
No,
was
it's up
not to
to-
exceed 2%. He said not to exceed 3%, so I went back and was trying to get some clarification.
Can we table this until we get
Next
clarification?
week.
Sure. Article 32 is, we'll table that until next week. Article 33 is zoning. Read that. That finishes the special town meeting.
And Judy Pickett hasn't, the other attorney, does a whole review of everything, so there might be some minor things, but I'll point anything out that's substantial next week if you want to be considering it. But I don't know.
Okay.
We have determined this over the zoning district,
So planning board, yes, they had some hearings on that. So the retail marijuana dispensaries would be in the retail district. And they would be required to have a special permit from a planning board. And then any of the cultivation or testing facilities would be in the business light industry.
Now, the retail district, you mean, is that mainly Route 1, or does it include like down around here,
This is
Town
the-
Hall?
This is the
little
central
retail?
district.
The central retail.
So one important thing I know, you don't need to make a recommendation. The town of Raleigh voted for the recreational marijuana, and they did that state ballot question. So because the town did that, if we don't have a zoning bylaw, when licenses are starting to be issued by the state, they could go anywhere. So you actually need the bylaw to make sure that they're only going in the areas that you really want them to go into. If you don't, they could go anywhere in town.
So they could be essentially
They
downtown
could be
here?
outlying district, they
They
could
could
be.
be next door to
Next
your
door.
house, you
Route
know.
1, yeah.
Yeah,
Next to Pine Grove.
so people might not realize it because it was a close vote, and some people had come into the selectman's office and said, you know, we don't want the marijuana, but, and if they think that passing this is, you know, if they pass it, they're allowing it, it's already allowed in Raleigh by right.
So there's two retail, there's downtown, you have a little bit in Main Street, and then you have, of course, where the
Yeah,
Route 1 is, you have all that, so where, is it, would it be, could it be here? I mean, it-
well, I
this-
believe the central district is not the retail district. The retail used to be the commercial, and then years ago, the planning board separated it into business light industry and retail. And it's Route 1, and then it's out on 133 near
That's
Georgetown,
133, yeah.
Oh, okay.
where the big self-storage facility is.
The Georgetown turned down, they were supposed to be having this giant marijuana.
No, they have it.
They have it.
Yeah, they have it.
It abuts Raleigh. It's on the east
Oh,
side of
okay.
95 Healthy Farms.
Oh,
You
okay.
see the sign there?
I never noticed.
Yes.
to
Oh,
look
yeah.
for it.
And they just had some unhealthy marijuana.
Yep,
Right.
right on the Raleigh line.
Okay, shall we move on to the annual town meeting articles? First one is Article 3. Get you all these stipends.
It's not just stipends, it's salaries too.
Right.
It's for elected officials.
Now, there's no comparison with what it was. Are these all the same as last year, or
No, they're
Are
from the
these-
budget.
these are all in, any
They're from the,
increase?
what you've approved in the budget.
Okay.
So the difference this year is, you'll see Board of Shellfish Commissioners, each member 500. So they need to follow the same way the cemetery follows, and the selectmen spoke to them. Joe Perry and Dave Peterson met with the chairman of the Shellfish Board, and he brought it back to his board and explained that they really have to be under this statute, 41-108, and that their salary is set. They actually haven't spent any money. If you remember, you reviewed the budget, they haven't really spent it, but they do work, they do patrol the flats, they assist the constable. Right now, they're working on aquacultural license renewals. There's a lot of work involved in that, and green crab trapping. So they work closely with Division of Marine Fisheries.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Article 3.
Okay, have a motion. Paul second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Guess we don't have to worry about recommending Article 4. Article 5. This is the one that's tied into the Triton override. We're recommending the fiscal year 18 budget with a $200,000 increase to cover the Prop 2.5 plus new growth. Our assessment is $732,000, 640. And so Article 5 is the override for the remainder, which is $532,640.
I'll make a motion that we do not recommend Article 5.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion to not recommend.
May I speak on that one?
Yeah, please do.
Because this, Larry, remember when we met with me on this, this is what Newbury is doing. When the FinCom votes on their recommended version of the budget, it will have the amount, your motion will be the amount of fiscal 18 plus the 200,000.
Right.
So if that passes at town meeting, this article here, if the override passes next week, it's automatically appropriated. You don't have to go back to town meeting to appropriate the money if it's approved at that. If it's not approved, your budget stands. So it's balanced. You don't have to go back to town meeting.
Run that through again because it,
The only way you go back to
I
town
think,
meeting is if there's something, some configuration with the other towns happen and the Triton revotes their
well, let's
budget.
not worry about that. If
This provides an
if we
opportunity.
vote, okay,
You're making a motion with the recommended amount that doesn't include
this
what
is
Triton is requesting.
Article 4.
532, yeah.
Article 4,
So-
okay, is the
so
reduced
that-
amount. If
if
that
that
passes,
We have this article here, which then gives us the opportunity, should the following week's override pass, it will automatically appropriate that money towards the Triton's full assessment. But if the override doesn't pass, your budget still stands. We
Right.
have a balanced budget.
So you're saying if we do not recommend this, then we'd have to have another town meeting?
No,
No.
whether we recommend it or not, they can vote it.
no, we're just recommending basically the reduced budget with the $200,000 increase
Under Article 4.
Yes.
under 4, and if 5 fails, then
No, so if
we revert back to that.
So Article 5 gives us the opportunity, should the override pass, that those funds are appropriated.
Right.
Otherwise, you have to go back to town meeting to appropriate what.
So that's what I was saying, is that if, by us not recommending it, it would cause another town meeting.
Right.
If the override should pass.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the compromise, because I thought the idea was to let the people decide if they want to pay for this extra money, and if they'll decide that the following week. But this automatically appropriates it. If it's not appropriated, you have to go, and it passes.
But we're gonna have to go back to town meeting anyway, right? If, one way or the other, I would think, right?
Not
To cut
necessarily.
budgets or... See, I don't want to give town meeting the impression that we're approving the 532.
Right.
Right.
It's like basically saying,
Yeah,
yeah, we
that's
vote our
basically
budget. Yeah.
approving the Triton budget with no cuts to it.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
How
So,
much would the original, the assessment, I know they knocked it down, how much did they knock it down to? Is it the amount that would be our share?
730.
732. so
yeah,
that-
from 900 some odd, high 90s, something like 90s.
But it seems it's better to say yes, because if you don't, then you're gonna have to come, start back and.
But yes, yes implies that we're
Well,
giving consent to the budget.
Well, it's-
Override.
We're trying to avoid another town meeting, basically, and...
But, a town meeting is $5,000.
Versus 500,000.
Yeah.
it comes down to the people
I don't-
deciding, so.
How about, since this is our first time looking at this, we postpone this till next week?
I'm comfortable with what my motion, so...
Can I make a suggestion, if it makes sense? Could we modify the article so that we say to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of paying, and then put the $532,000 amount in the explanatory
No.
notes section?
No, because you've already got the
You already got the
200,000
200.
in the general budget.
Yeah, see, the thing is, so this only, if the townspeople want this override, that's all you're doing is saying, okay, if you do vote it, it's now appropriated, because I think you're gonna have a hard sell on your motion, and your motion at town meeting will be for the lower amount, and that's where you say, this is what you're already saying that under Article 4, this is what we believe is right, but the school came in, they have a right to put their number on, somebody put a menu motion on the town meeting floor, but at least this is the compromise that the selectmen already put in the ballot question on there. If you do vote it, it will be by default already appropriated to that line by virtue of this vote under Article 5. That's what this says, because you're making your point under Article 4, but to not recommend this article is to say that the will of the townspeople, if it is in favor for it the next week.
Well,
You know,
again, it's a recommendation. The
It-
fact
Yeah.
that if we
They-
don't recommend it, but the townspeople decide, the majority
Yeah.
approve it, that doesn't matter whether we
Right,
recommend it or not.
exactly.
We're just recommending.
We're
it's
saying-
not.
Okay.
That's the way
Yeah,
I see
no,
it.
right, exactly. That
Because
we,
in the end, the voters have the final say, not the finance committee.
yes.
But if the town meeting doesn't vote for this, then, and it does pass, then we're gonna have to go back and appropriate that money. That's all.
So
No.
it'll complicate things.
I'm not
understand,
ready to
but-
vote.
I understand your reasoning, but I don't want to give them necessarily the wrong
You're
impression.
not, because
They will.
you're saying you give them $200,000 in addition. You have that basically separated out here, so, the town is contributing $200,000 more to the regional district school than it did last year.
Yeah, if you look at page 5 of your working draft budget, okay, it has line 133, Triton Regional Assessment. Okay, appropriated in 2018 is $9,622,000. They have requested $10,355,000. We're recommending the $9,822,000, which is the $200,000 increase. Okay, so they can approve that.
But say somebody could actually amend that
Right.
Yes.
to the
Yes, they can.
10,350,000.
Right.
I mean, so
But-
if they didn't do it under this part of the budget, then,
Then what they can do is approve this
yeah. And 5
and Article 5.
combines the two.
Now, we'll say Article 4 passes, it comes up to Article 5, we don't recommend it. The town, at the town meeting, can still vote to accept it. All we're doing is recommending.
Or not.
Right.
Yeah, but this Article 5 gives the people the say in what they want to do.
Yes. All we're doing is recommending yes or no.
And I think a no vote is showing the wrong way. They could go right back to Article 5, ask for reconsideration of Article 4. They can come back and ask for reconsideration on that and go back to Triton's original thing and we're sunk.
Well, they don't have to do that. They just pass Article 5.
But if we're telling them not to vote on Article 5,
It's just a recommendation.
Right.
we're recommending that they don't do it. We're putting ourselves at risk.
I don't see.
What risk?
What difference is if we
That
recommend
they're
the
going
other
to,
articles?
if we're not recommending Article 5, they're going to attack Article 4 and go for the full amount.
All right.
And then if the override doesn't pass, we're sunk. We still have to cut all our budgets.
I don't see why they would look at Article 5 and say, ooh, they're not recommending it, so let's ask for the full amount in Article 4.
You see,
They-
several people
go
are
for
going to...
reconsideration, too. I mean.
People are going to come and say, we want to recommend and go to the full amount on Article 4.
Okay, so you
And
vote
we can-
yes
and we
on
can-
4 and
And we
5.
can say, vote the way we recommended it, and then go for Article 5. If the override passes, we can have it. But if we're putting it down
Right.
everywhere, we're saying we don't want anything for the school.
No, we're saying,
Give you 200.
We're giving you
we're
200,000.
saying that we recommend in Article 4, the fiscal year 18 budget plus 200,000.
Yeah.
So they passed that, and now
But who says they're going to pass that without going back and putting it up? This is our,
they put it up by Article 5.
and we're telling them not to do that.
Exactly. That's
Not
the
telling them that they
motion.
can't, we're just recommending that, against it.
I mean, just the wording of it alone.
The
just
same
to
is
tell
true if you
raise
think
and
of everything else we
appropriate for the
recommend.
purpose of
What
paying
if
full
town meeting,
assessments,
that
as we say,
they
this
vote
morning,
some of the things down that
as
we
say, yes.
recommend?
Oh, they do. They do that, yes.
So
there's
this
no
is
que-
just the opposite.
But,
In this case, we don't recommend something, but if the majority at town meeting recommend, want it,
well, I do not agree. I will vote no. There's no question. I think we should recommend 5.
I go along with you. I think that, I mean, we're putting ourselves in a bad situation, I think. If everything fails and then we're gonna, even if the other town, if they don't pass this and the other towns do, then we're screwed there too, so.
So we have
A motion, a second.
motion and a second, 2 to not recommend and 2 to recommend.
and you
No,
don't
the
you don't
motion
get
is
to vote.
not to recommend, and then if they want
Right.
to turn that down, then
Right.
Right, but I mean,
Well,
2
I'm-
not recommend, 2 for the not recommending, 2 against
the not
the
recommend.
not recommending.
So you're the, who didn't vote, because there's 5 of us,
No, I do the deciding vote,
right, okay.
so it happens on me.
You're like the vice president, huh? You can break the tie in the Senate.
And take all the blame.
Debbie, explain the position more again, what you think, why you think.
Well, it's just appropriating, respecting whatever the vote, the electorate does the following week. It appropriates that, so if they do vote it the following week, it's appropriated. If they don't vote it, you still have the budget if your motion prevails
Yeah.
intact, and we kind of wait and see what happens.
But they could also vote Article 5, and it
Yeah.
passes,
Yeah.
and then when they go in to vote on it,
They can vote no.
it votes no, and it gets defeated.
Yeah, and this wouldn't matter. It only
Right.
addresses, addresses the people that might be saying, well, we want to vote for this, we don't know what the outcome is. If we get the money next week, it's appropriated, because that's what the majority of the voters in the town voted for. So it just sets it up so we don't have to go back to town meeting.
But it still gives the impression that
That's what they're doing in Newbury.
yeah, but it's still giving the impression to voters that we're supporting the
No,
additional 532.
it's that we're only,
Well, if you want an
Supporting it.
explanatory note, if that would make it better, we can say the FinCom's vote, it merely is to respect whatever the outcome of the May 8th election is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Not an endorsement of this, of the Triton
Yeah.
budget. You give me the verbiage, I'll put it in and be very clear in bold print next to whatever your recommendation is.
Your call,
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
I vote aye to not recommend Article 5.
With no explanation.
Well, we have to put an explanation, but
I can come up with an explanation, but basically it's, if
Okay.
it passes, then the town has to lay off people or come up with the
no. If
532,000.
this only will pass if the override passes.
We're talking about the override, Article 5.
Okay, Article 5, if we say, yes, we like Article 5, but no, we don't vote for the override, then this is null and void.
Hold it, how can you say, yes, we like Article 5, but no,
And it says only if the override passes.
this is the override?
No, it's not.
No.
This is
Well-
just being able to appropriate the
Well-
money into the budget if the override passes.
Yeah, that's-
Otherwise, you have to go back and have a whole new town meeting.
That's the problem is, you're going against, because if the override passes, do you want to screw
What are you
around
going to
and
do
say-
with that money if the override
have to go
passes? You
back.
have to go back to town meeting.
I can see where there's a whole lot of confusion the way it is, but
It doesn't,
I can't say that, yes, I'm for the wording of it, but no, I'm not for appropriating it.
This
this will be confusing to,
but this
to
is,
the people
this is
at
only
town meeting.
appropriating the money from the override. This is not the override. The override is on the election.
Yes,
This, if the override passes, this gives us the right to use it.
right.
If the override doesn't pass, this doesn't exist.
Yes.
This is a selling feature with your motion to say to the
Yeah.
voters at the town meeting,
If you,
to go with your motion, because otherwise, if they do go with the requested amount, we could be dismantling the budget on the town meeting floor, because we have to have a balanced budget. So the idea is that if we have the balanced budget with the FinCom's motion based on your requested amount, and we explain to those people who are looking for the higher number that, the requested amount exceeds our limitations with Proposition 2.5 to run the town and to fund the school at the level you want it. That's why you have it on an override, to make that decision. And this article respects whatever that vote is, so it's only provided if it passes. It doesn't, if it doesn't, in the FinCom's motion in Article 4 prevails, at least, that was just the selling point. When you make your motion, you say afterwards, we're gonna have another article that will address the full amount if it passes next week. It will be appropriated in accordance with the majority of the people, if it's voted that way.
No, we need a better explanation then.
Or we'll change the way it's written, because it's...
Let's table this till
Well,
next
Oh, we already
week.
voted,
said
Mr. Chairman, did we already vote, or I'm not,
Yes,
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not taking my motion off the table.
okay,
As it's written now, I'm not either.
okay.
But if it's modified, if it's some...
Well-
I don't really see that I will. I mean, this was taken, I got it from Newbury, this is what they're doing, their town council looked at it, our town council looked at it. It's just appropriating the money, because the way the town meetings are held with the elections, it just gives that opportunity to appropriate it should it pass.
Yeah, you mean, you're making it sound like the finance committee is like the sanctity or something like that. This is only to make it less complicated for us, because the override, if you don't, then you're saying, you don't have the funds to support whatever the override decides, and then we have to go back, and so I don't know, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but this is like, you're putting the finance committee like this anointed thing that's,
No, no.
Peter, again, we're just recommending.
Yeah,
It's
but
not like
right now,
what we
this is
say.
tied into the
I can
override, though.
see-
It's
You're
tied
not
into-
recommending
You're
the
tied
override.
into the override. You're not recommending the override, and the override is, what's gonna drive the bus here. This is just, you're
Yeah,
making
I can
things
see,
more
I can
complicated
see
here.
your point where, we're basically covering our base. If the override passes, then we have the appropriation for it.
Right.
And then it gets voted on. But it's unclear that this article says that.
It says, provided that such additional appropriation be contingent upon approval of a levy limit override question under GL, which is the last article in the warrant.
I don't think town meeting will understand that.
No,
Well, I
it's,
think
it's
the
the-
idea is that the chairman will give when the budget article comes up, he'll explain that. So, because I think that the selectmen are gonna want the finance committee's motion to pass, and in order to get the people that are concerned about that requested amount from the school, that this article guarantees that that money will be appropriated should it pass. But we will have a balanced budget under FinCom's motion. Because it's very clear, provided that such additional appropriation be contingent upon. And then what we say is that its passage of this article appropriates the money on the May 8th, 2018 annual town election ballot, which, and I can also say which is Article 25 of this warrant. That's all. Unless it were just shown
no, I mean,
article.
I understand the mechanics of it, but it's not evident to the average reader that that's what it is.
I agree.
And
So what are you doing by not recommending it? You're telling them that if they vote the override, where's the money going?
We'll have to have another town meeting, right?
yes, we'll have to have another town meeting, and it could be to add this article
Cut others or something.
back in or so.
I think we're making it more complicated.
Because it says thus negating the need to schedule a town meeting. So is that the main point of this article?
Yes.
So that you would avoid potentially having another town meeting.
Yes.
If the
The override
override would be
passes.
passed.
That's about-
It's,
I still think people are gonna think
You
that we're
get a
supporting the
quorum, you have to make sure you
532.
get 100.
Yeah,
Just the way it's
that's.
written.
you know when we have
Right.
the town meeting, though, that there's going to be an explanation, there's going to be a lot of discussion about this particular item.
Well, if you have some suggestions on what you would think that would be helpful in the explanatory note, like I said, I can add in the explanatory note, after the word ballot, which is shown on Article 25 of this warrant. The FinCom recommendation is not a recommendation on the merits of the override, just merely that it sets forward a mechanism to appropriate the funds should they be approved.
I can see something where the Finance Committee recommends the appropriation for the purpose of balancing a budget, but does not recommend the 532,000
But
payment.
By saying that, you're making a conflict between, because this is all tied into, if provided the override passes, so you're basically saying the hell with what the override says. This is what we don't want, I don't.
Well, that's our job, is to make a recommendation.
Yeah, but you're recommending that you don't want the if the town wants the 552,000,
Yep.
It's the way
okay.
This is written.
We're not gonna-
but you're
we have-
saying you don't want that money? That you, I don't know. I think you're wrong.
You can't,
Well, I
You
can
cannot put
see
that in.
where we want to appropriate the money to have it to balance the budget, but we don't want to spend it because we don't like.
You're saying the same thing.
Well, no,
Yeah.
it's one is
Yeah, but if the town-
one is putting the money aside.
What Debbie said is
Okay, and say, okay, this is solely for the Triton budget increase, all right? But we're not going to touch that at all, because we don't approve the Triton budget increase.
But
So you
you're
didn't-
saying if the town people want the Triton budget, they're
Where's the
going to
money
vote the override, okay?
Yes,
Okay, without this article, you can't use it.
correct. We have to have a town meeting.
it's kind of wasting time to have this town meeting. I think how Debbie worded it, I think is sufficient.
Her explanation that she would put on
That
it.
she said would be able to explain it. You don't
Look
have
how
to
long
say-
we've debated this.
Well, it's not,
Is there something that
For-
Tom Mullen could look at, to try to, I guess, make this a
she
little
said
bit
that
clearer?
council already,
Well, from
taken it
Newbury, but-
From Newbury, and it's already been reviewed by Judy Pickett. But, like I said, I think that maybe we could, if the FinCom wants to explain that this is a recommendation only to allow should the override pass, and that's the majority of the people want it, then this money would be appropriated for that purpose. But it's not a reflection on the merits of the override or the appropriation or anything else. And in fact, if the selectmen's feeling, if the FinCom's feeling is that they don't support this, the increase, but they support the ability to have that appropriated, should that be the outcome of the election. That's all it
avoid
is.
another town
It's more
meeting.
of a mechanical thing. It's not an endorsement of that appropriation, but if the people do vote it, now you're talking about the electorate now, how would is the FinCom feeling against that if that was the case?
Well, I think the average person is not going to be able to distinguish between appropriating it for the purpose of balancing a budget and the recommendation for it. They're going to look at it and says,
even with her explanation, though,
no, even with her.
they're pretty, they shouldn't even be going to the meetings. don't understand if someone's making a qualification on, saying that we don't necessarily endorse it, but we're saying we're going along,
But they're going to look at it and say, the FinCom recommends
532,000.
the override.
No, that's not what it says.
I know it's not what it says, but
That's what they're going to think.
Yeah, but Debbie's just qualified it by adding a little bit more, so I
Well-
don't know what the problem is.
The problem is that the average person is not going to understand the
I
difference.
think you have to give
But
the
I
average
think-
person more credit than that. I don't think it's that.
I think that would be explained though at town meeting, when the article is read. And if there's more information like Debbie suggested, where everybody at town meeting then understands like kind of how our feelings are on it.
And I think your feelings are clear under Article 4, and I think in order to get that through, which is the most
Yeah.
important thing,
Yeah,
you're going back and saying, I realize that a lot of people here want a different version of what we're presenting, but that's going to be decided next week at the election. And if you do prevail at the election, then those funds are going to be appropriated and put into this budget. But, it's not that the FinCom is recommending, the merits of what's involved in that, in those dollars or anything else, and if that needs to be written here. But I think that the real issue will be under Article 4 with your motion, and I think explaining to those people that may disagree with that or want to change your motion, you can explain to them that we really need this balanced budget, and anything more needs to be on an override, and if it's on the override, then it's going to be appropriated for its intended purpose under Article 5. Because if it's not appropriated then, it has to be appropriated some other time. If it passes, and maybe it
Do you
won't
think we
pass
should
anyway.
defer this till next week, but in the meantime, Debbie could modify or add to the explanation then of, do you think that would be a good idea?
I
I'm
think
just
that
asking.
might be.
that's fine. Let's table it and
Well, if you have some suggested language, I don't want to put words
yeah,
in.
no, I thought what you was putting was
What you
very
were
good.
saying sounded,
What did I say?
Reasonably.
I'm trying to.
So.
That's all right, we've got a video of it.
It's not,
that's right,
Find it.
that's right, it's on video.
it's not an endorsement, we're just
Yeah, it's-
basically.
It's not an
endorsement.
endorsement on the FinCom
Because
as
we are
far as.
obviously very
We
divided
made it
on
very
this.
clear, it's not an endorsement by FinCom, we said that, so, what's the
But on
problem?
the other hand, if,
We
I
just-
can see the point, if enough people approved an override, we wouldn't want to have to go and schedule another town meeting,
That's the whole point.
Yeah,
because then that's an added cost.
The
too.
townspeople want the override. We got a method to use it.
That's all this is.
so that has to be explained in bold
Yeah, I
print
think
or
it-
whatever.
Right.
If you
You know what I
explain it
mean?
like you suggested, I think that would.
Maybe adding something that this article does not,
Constitute an endorsement by the
the
recommendation.
original FinCom motion was the 200,000. We do not, just reiterate what we
FinCom
were.
supports the 200, but should this,
Should the override pass,
But
this
pass
gives us the way to put the money into the Triton budget.
and avoid an additional town meeting, something to that effect.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion
I
for.
would be,
Well, I don't think you should use words, you say endorse, not support,
Yeah.
support is different than, endorse.
recommend.
Or recommend,
We
yeah.
use the word recommend.
Because we have to support, unless
Yeah.
you want to just say, oh, okay, we got the override, but we don't support it, so.
Yeah, no,
kinda
we
like-
use the word recommend
you know.
all the time, or not recommend. So I would
I'll
feel comfortable
withdraw my
with that.
motion at this point.
Okay,
Yeah,
And I'll make a
Let's-
motion to table.
actually, I think you need to rescind. I think
Yeah.
you voted that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
okay,
That was
I'll make a
vote. I
motion
have
to
it right
rescind
and I'll second that,
our original motion, or our original vote.
and I'll second.
Okay. I think we've had enough discussion. All in favor of rescinding? Aye.
Aye.
So
Okay.
maybe Larry and I can work out, when we have to, a FinCom explanatory note that's not, not from me, but we can have your own, and then
Yeah.
revote the whole thing next week.
If you need some help, call.
We'll have have it very clear about what the FinCom's intention is with respect to this.
I mean,
I understand what it is.
yeah, and
totally
unfortunately,
get it, but
you have to put that first sentence in, because you have to, and that's the thing that I guess we're mostly concerned about, is to raise and appropriate the sum of $532,640, and the explanation is after. You know, I mean, I know you have to put that first, but
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's causing the most frustration. Because it looks like, you know, once the recommendation is to pass it, it's, oh, they're appropriate, or they're recommending the 532.
Right, and 90% of the people there are not going to understand, provided that
Exactly.
such additional appropriation be contingent on the approval of a levy limit override question under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59, Paragraph 21C.
And I know that's the legalese, but down below,
Yes.
I thought I was clear, and I was gonna add, which is shown on Article 25.
Well,
But you can
We'll
always,
Well-
work on to something that's just special, your own finance committee narrative.
but you can always entertain questions on the floors too, because I'm sure people are gonna be having questions when this comes up, so
Yeah.
that is when you can explain more about
And
what
that's-
exactly what
that's-
this
Yeah, I
is.
think we need to get, someone needs to get up
Yeah.
and explain our
And with,
position.
and with this article here, if someone gets up and they want to go with more money for Triton, we can say your way to do it is to vote Article 5.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we need to get up and
Yeah,
explain our
oh, yes,
position on this.
definitely.
So we can make a motion to table, or we
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
make a motion to table?
I'll
till next
second
week.
that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I think that at this point in the game, we should adjourn till tomorrow night.
Well, you've already voted the water budget.
Yeah.
You've already put those in. And
I can't make tomorrow night.
I don't mean tomorrow night, next Tuesday.
Oh.
That's what I meant,
No.
next Tuesday. I'm sorry.
No. Can everybody make next Tuesday?
I can.
Okay.
so if anybody has any questions, just contact the individual.
And then we've got this to study.
So next Tuesday, we start with Article 7.
Yeah, and I have, I think, a couple on the special.
Are there any other budgets, or is that,
Well, we
They're
got
all
the
done.
budgets. The budgets
we're
are all
going to need to
done.
meet earlier, is what I'm saying, right?
No,
No.
we got the
No.
budgets are all done.
7:15.
No.
Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Paul. You have a second?
I'll second.
Dennis? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
What is
Thank you.
next Tuesday?
Okay, it's got us out. Okay.